Welcome to ExpaTView, where we're all about knowing and growing expat women. My name is Brice, and I'm co-hosting with Renee Lederman, from our living room to yours. Expats, or those people who live temporarily or permanently in another culture or country than their own, are going to make up some 200 million of the world's population in 2011. So how does who they are, where they come from, how they live, what they do, their challenges and their joys, how does this affect and influence the decisions and the choices they make in their lives? Today we are joined by Lisa, who is an expat, repat, expat. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you.
She's living in Houston, Texas. And we're also joined by Karyn, who is a serial expat. Now, Karyn's lived in 5 different countries, and she's now a local expat living as a Coloradan in Texas. Welcome, Karyn.
Thank you.
So, Karyn, telling us, what is living in so many different places? How has that influenced you, and how has it challenged you, and what changes have you made in your life?
I think it's introduced me to a lot of cultures and made me realize that my way isn't always the best way, and that sometimes you need to take a little bit of the parts of the culture and make it part of you. For instance, in Oman, I learned that history, socialization, and community are really important to making you feel like you're part of something, like you're part of the community, and also to well-being. I think in the UK, I learned that a cup of tea and a really good friend can make the day so much better, but you have to make time for that cup of tea and for that friend. In Malaysia, I think I learned that you can always change, that you can always make things different. Things can always move ahead. And then in Indonesia, I learned that patience is a virtue. And that no matter how stressed you get in a situation, no matter how difficult things are, if you're just patient, things will always work out. And these things combined together have made me a better person.
Absolutely. I'm sure they have. So what major challenges did you face during these times, and how did you try and address those?
I think the biggest challenges I had was to realize that no one was going to be my guide to the new place. No one was going to make new friends for me. No one was going to ease me into the new community. That it was kind of up to me. And when I first got to Oman, it was a huge difference. The culture was different. How things were done were very different. So I think that luckily I had a husband who kind of pushed me out the door and said, you have to go do this stuff. So I went to an international club, and they introduced me to people. I volunteered. I ended up loving it. I tried new things. I met people I probably would have never been friends with in the United States, but that's the key. You have to go meet these people because they will enliven your life and make things easier.
Absolutely. Wonderful strategies, Karyn. Thanks for sharing those. So Lisa, not quite as much experience, however you've been an expat, repat, and now expatting again.
Yep.
How has this time been different than the last time?
Well, they've been very different, I have to say. The first time I was a successful career girl working in London, and we moved to a very isolated Afrikaans area where everybody spoke Afrikaans and I didn't, and also we were unmarried, which, although that was never a problem to us, other people seem to struggle with that. This time we are living in an expat community, which makes it far easier to make friends. It's not a conscious decision to stick with Brits. I love American people too, but when you move to a new area, it seems to me that your type find you far quicker, and over time you may well get to meet a lot of the local people and make the best friends in life. But initially, for some reason, it's better with your own kind. I also have a child now, which opens the floodgates hugely, changes everything, and makes life a lot easier all round, I would say.
Absolutely. So, easier or harder this time around?
Much, much easier. Totally different. I also spent some time thinking about what motivates me, and I'm a people person. I need to be around people. So I push myself, I join clubs, I keep myself busy all the time, and it makes for me to be a far happier, motivated person.
You certainly sound that way for sure. Thanks, Lisa. Over to you, Renee.
Karyn, knowing what you know about the expat lifestyle, if you could choose all over, would you choose to be an expat again?
I think that's a hard one for me to answer because who I was 10 years ago is so different than who I am now. I've changed, I've grown, I've become a different person. So although right now I could say yes, I'm not sure the 28-year-old me would do that. So in all honesty, I'm just not sure.
So you're not sure?
No.
Okay. Tell me, what, if you could tell me the greatest achievements that you've made as an expat woman, what would that be?
I think it is the ability to take the passions and the things that I've learned overseas and make it into a career. I started weight training, doing fitness, and got into kickboxing a lot. And my kickboxing instructor, he said to me, you should do this for a living. And I thought, well, why not? And so I went and got a certification. I mean, 10 years ago, if you told me this is what I would be doing, I'd probably be laughing at you. I didn't like exercise. But here I am, and I now own a personal training studio. I'm getting a master's in science in human nutrition, and I got a 3-year plan to open up a wellness center.
Oh, it sounds exciting.
It is. I love it.
Tell me, if you were to give us 3 tips in making your experience positive, what would those tips be?
When you go overseas, especially if you've had a career before, instead of looking at it as stalling your career or putting it on hold, look at it as a difference in pathway, creating a new pathway. The next thing I would say is to make sure that you try new things, because you may find passions you never knew you had before. And then the last thing I would say is to take those passions and use them to open up new doors, because in that itself you'll find a lot of happiness.
It sounds like you're really passionate about this, and that you do get out, and that you're not
do.
shy at all.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa, knowing what you know about the expat lifestyle, and you had to choose again, what would you choose?
Well, sorry, is that the same question? Sorry. Is that the 3 points? Or
No, just if you had to choose again to be an expat, would you choose?
if I had to choose to be an expat again, that's a very difficult question because I have elderly parents, and you're always in conflict as to if you've made the right decision to go or not. So I'm not sure currently at this current time if I would choose to do it again.
Okay. All right, thank you. Now I'm going to ask you, if there were 3 tips that you would give our viewers, to make their experience a good one, what would those tips be?
Well, from my point of view, I think if you can visit the place before you commit to coming permanently or for a number of years, it goes a long way to helping. You can narrow down your locations, you can narrow down the schools, rather than have it all to do the minute you touch down in a strange country. I think that's very important. From my point of view, we went to an expat community and that's helped hugely this time. I think you need to push yourself to get involved, pretty much as Karyn was saying, push yourself to do things that you didn't even realise you wanted to do or could do. But from my point of view, that keeps me motivated and keeps me happy, and that's very important, obviously. And also I think you need to embrace the place that you're in and the cultures that you're in, which is again what Karyn was saying. Don't fight it, embrace and enjoy.
Thank you. From what both of you are saying, if every expat experience is different, and it's very important that you develop coping skills so that you can face your challenges. I'd like to thank both of you again today for joining us, and if you'd like to find more information about our guest today, or if you'd like to help us support our global sisters at Kiva, go to the expaTView. And I'd also like to invite you to go to Facebook page and tell me what your flavor expat ice cream is and what that flavor tells us about you. Next week, we're going to be talking to Joanne and Apple, And I want to thank you again for joining us from our living room to yours.
So what's your favorite ice cream?
Strawberry.
Strawberry?
Pistachio.
Pistachio.
Chocolate mint.
Chocolate mint.
Mine's rum and raisin. So the rum is the sailor in me that rages around the world and tries to find wonderful things to do, but there's little sweet spots in there too that I like to nurture.
And I chose strawberry because strawberry ice cream and strawberries are sweet, and I think I'm sweet.
Yeah.
I think pistachio because I'm nutty. I'm a little bit sweet and a lot of salt.
I'd say chocolate mint because I'm a chocoholic and I like a little bit of contrast with the mint.